Alright, now it's time for another fruit comparison. I was at Whole Foods the other day, and Whole Foods lately has been getting pretty interesting in their produce department. They've been selling things that are pretty rare, pretty hard to find. I don't know who's buying these things, but they also sell ostrich eggs and emu eggs, so somebody's got to be buying them. And that might just be me. I found red currants, which I've reviewed before in Malaysia, and white currants, which I have never seen before. They unfortunately did not have black currants. Black currants, popular as they are in many places around the world, I've never had one, and it just keeps me up at night. But I really would love to do a comparison of all three, but for the time being, I got two, so that ain't too bad. Now, what's really interesting about white currants is that white currants are actually a sport of the red currants. And what a sport is it is a mutation. So there was a red currant plant at some point in time that basically had produced an albino variation of the fruit. So these were from a red currant plant, but they came up white. It's the same thing with some other fruits, like the nectarine, for example, was a sport of the peach. But of course, like nectarines and peaches, white currants and red currants also have a completely different flavor. You see, these are a little bit smaller, they're a little bit more translucent, and they are, obviously, they don't have that red pigment in them. The flavor, though, I'm kind of curious of what they taste like. I've had these, of course, before, but as a little reminder, let me try some of these. Red currants are good. They're very tart. They're related to gooseberries, and they have a similar flavor to gooseberries. There's like a, kind of like a mellowness to them. Maybe a little bit like a white grape, but at the same time, very unique. They've got a currant flavor. But just eating like that mouthful is like giving me a lot of like tartness. So it's they're used very often for as an ornamental thing or decoration on a plate or like a garnish, and they're used in cooking quite a lot. They're used for savory dishes and also to make juices and jellies and relishes and stuff like that. So here's a few of the white ones. It tastes like red currants, but it doesn't kind of like smack you quite as hard as the red currants do. They're very similar, but they have like their own uses. Like if you were gonna make something where you're having like a lot of fresh berries in it, the white ones would probably be better for that, because the white ones are a little bit easier to take. The red currants, I can see like if you want something with like more flavor to like use it like in a meat dish, that would probably be better because it's gonna bring more flavor to the dish. But other than that, it's not like there's no like crazy flavor that it has or anything. It's just kind of like a milder version of the red currant. Alright, I'm excited about this. Now I filmed the review of the red and white currants like a long time ago. That was probably like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. It was a while, and the reason why I haven't posted it yet is I really wanted to find black currants. But the problem is, black currants are really hard to find. It's almost impossible to find black currants here in the US unless you know someone who might be growing it in their backyard. Well, thank you so much again to Italy for your very overpriced fruit, because I found some, and this is big. Now, the reason why black currants are so tricky to find is that for a long time they were not available at all. It was illegal to sell them and illegal to grow them in the United States. So excuse any noises you might be hearing. I think my neighbors upstairs are killing each other, so if you hear some gunshots or something, probably just someone dying, but anyway. Yeah, black currants for the longest time were not available. In 1911, there was a ban on the sale and farming of black currants. Black currants have they play a role in spreading a disease that affects white pines. So what would happen is these pine trees would affect the currants, and the currants would spread onto other pine trees. So in order to help stop that, these were made illegal in the United States. Nowadays, that is no longer an issue. There are strains of black currants out there now that do not carry that disease. They do not cause that problem. But still, because of that kind of history, it's very tricky to find these because a lot of people aren't growing it. It's still illegal in several states in the US, still, even though it's not really an issue. And it's also just, even though you can get it some places, they're not popular here, so people don't want to grow it. So it's very tricky to get your hands on black currants. Anyway, I am excited to try these because I've had black currants in a lot of things. I have black currant gum and candies. In Malaysia, there's a black currant drink, Ribena, which I drank all the time. I really like the taste of black currant stuff, but I've never had it fresh. So this is going to be exciting. That mellow, sweet flavor that you get from red currants and white currants and gooseberries is in the black currant, but there's much more complexity to these fruits. There is like a tartness to it that you don't feel right away. That's like a little aftertaste of sourness that you get. And there's like a little hint of like an herb flavor. Kind of like a little bit like basil and mint. Like a Thai basil kind of flavor. Alright, I think they're done killing each other. I hear them talking up there now. I think they've at least calmed down a little bit. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, there's like a nice complex flavor to these. It's a little bit like grapes, like a good like dark, like Concord grape. A little bit like blueberries or blackberries, a little berry flavor. But what's really interesting is there's like an herbal taste to these. And there's like a little bit of like a savory taste to it. I think this would be really good with like meat or like a savory dish. Like, I don't eat meat, I'm a vegetarian, but it kind of has a similar taste to like juniper berries. If you were to like make this into like some kind of like savory sauce, like a chutney or something, it would be nice like that. Maybe make like a wine out of it or something. There's a nice flavor to it that is like, it's not what you think of when you think of fruit. It's got that fruit taste, but there's also a little something extra to it. A little bit how like elderberries are, only these are not poisonous in large amounts the way that elderberries are. So, good. I prefer these over the red and the white ones by far. Like, these have like a really nice, strong, complex flavor to it. And those, the red and white ones are good, but they're kind of simple. This is a little bit more of a punch to it, so you can see this like helping in other dishes or just being like a good snack to have where you want something that isn't, boring. You want like some flavor. Black currants are a good way to go. Hey guys, I want to give a huge shout out to Destin from the channel Smarter Every Day. Smarter Every Day is a pretty popular YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, it's about this guy. He travels around in the pursuit of science. So, if you like what I do with fruit, he's kind of doing it with everything else. So, check out his channel if you haven't seen it already, because it's really, really cool. I'm already hooked on it. He contributed to my Patreon page in order to help me out a little bit for the next few months. So if you want to help out too and make my series grow even bigger, just click on this screen or go to the description below and click on the links to go to my Patreon page where you can find out more. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.